Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story has a couple of updates to it. It started 9 months ago but has a new update as well, so if you've seen other parts of the story before, please feel free to skip them. Timestamps are down in the description along the timeline below. Thank you. It's from Am I Being Weird, who says, "Am I the arsehole here for telling my husband to not bring his sick ex to our house and not get personally involved in nursing?" So I'm 35 female. My husband is 39 male. We've been married for 5 years. Before marrying to me, he was with his high school sweetheart for a decade. Apparently they had compatibility issues and then lost contact. Now his ex has got kidney failure and is on dialysis and has come in our city for treatment, and according to my husband, she contacted my husband through a mutual friend. And now my husband wants to help her. Very politely I had asked my husband, does she not have her own people to help and nurse her? Why contact him all of a sudden after years? My husband was pissed and said, how can I be so petty and immature regarding a patient asking such stupid questions, and that he expects better from me? Then I said, if the situation is so dire, then let's get her a place in our flat in another locality, and if you are so adamant, then let's finance her nursing facility. What is the need of getting personally involved like a nurse, and that I don't want to get involved in personally nursing his ex or her medical recovery process in person, nor do I want to go see it in hospital with him. And my husband said he's just disappointed in me, that I'm showing jealousy over a long-ended relationship and cannot show maturity even with a patient. So am I the arsehole here? And guys, some people are accusing me of lying and copying. I'll give you a screenshot of the nursing home visitation slip. Please tell me how to upload the pictures. Absolutely not. It's one thing to have sympathy for an ex who's seriously ill. I would have sympathy for someone who was ill as well, but it's another to jump straight from that to personally nursing them, to caretaking for them, to bringing them into your home and expecting your partner to be completely comfortable with it. Those are two massively different things. OP wasn't turning around and saying, let us suffer or anything like that. She just even suggested paying for a nursing facility or helping financially, which is way more than enough already. The commenter says, not the arsehole. This is not jealousy. It sounds like he wants to be the hero and take her in, but do none of the actual work. Also, it is inappropriate. This is his ex and they don't even know each other anymore. I would die on this hill. If he brings her to your home against your will, you should leave to stay with family or friends. I bet he gets a nurse or gets her out real quick when he has to do the caretaking. Downtown quotes OP saying, and my husband said he is just disappointed in me that I'm showing jealousy over a long-ended relationship and cannot show maturity even with a patient, and then says he's gaslighting you. If my wife would propose something like this, she'd be out of the door faster than you can say nursing. Another commenter says something is fishy about the response, kinda sounds like gaslighting. Not sure I have enough context for a judgment, but he's asking a lot of you to bring one of his exes into your home. Could be because it is in writing that you offer to help in other ways. It sounded sarcastic, but I still feel his response is rather strong from him, making a big ask of you. I would possibly ask the same question, but understand that you're not obligated to say yes. A commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. First of all, she reached out to him. Weird. Second of all, in situations like this, it's always best to let professional healthcare workers take over. But that shouldn't be put on your finances. This whole thing is weird. OP responds saying, that is what I too feel weird. I reach out to him. There are millions of people suffering in the world. They don't reach out to strangers. What affiliation do I and my spouse have to her apart from the fact that she was his ex? Does it make me liable to care for her well-being? Another commenter says, not the arsehole. Their marriage is dissolved. His bond is to you in sickness and in health and should be the only one of its kind. Caring for another human being, especially one you are so close to, is to be expected, but not to that level. Is putting her needs above your own, which is alarming. He seems to very badly want to reconnect with her. Why isn't clear? Maybe he has unresolved feelings, love, regret, guilt, or passion. Agreeing to pay for her care at all is incredibly generous and beyond what many would find reasonable. So OP comes in with her first update and says, I tried to have another conversation with my husband and my parents are soon visiting my house, but I don't think we have made any progress. I talk pretty politely that it is very unfair to me and my boys. I have 2 3-year-old twins, that he is willing to be an emotional support to his ex, and he is so hell-bent to be at her side. Caring about acquaintances is a different thing, but issuing things like being an emotional support tool, caretaker, all this should be exclusive to one spouse. And issuing it to any third party, even if it is a platonic female friend, will be the foundation stone of an emotional affair, let alone issuing it to an ex. He told me that it is tragic that I don't trust him even after being together for 9 years. We dated for 4 years, have been married for 5, and accusing him of having an affair. It is natural for people to care about their loved ones, acquaintances, especially when they are sick, and being an emotional support tool, being a caretaker, being at people's side is the bare minimum one can do and does not automatically translate into an emotional affair. And it is sad that I am so narrow-minded that I'm taking offense in him being personally involved with his ex. Ideally, I too should have volunteered to help his ex, visited her, consoled her, and shown her empathy instead of being an insecure person. I said I'm not negating the fact that we should help a sick person and we get nurses and doctors involved and assist financially, but you offering emotional intimacy to her does not go down my throat. He once again said, just tossing money to a sick person is so cold-hearted on my part, and a patient needs to see that people are available for her. To which I said, I'm not obliged to be available for her, nor are you. Nobody will blame you for not taking responsibility of your ex's life troubles. He cut me off and said, what a selfish take, and how he will be selfish to not respond properly to a person asking for help. Then one of my twins woke up and our conversation ended. One of the top comments said to OP on this one, I don't see this ending well at all. And OP just simply replied, me too. I can sense myself getting divorced. Another commenter said to OP, I'm so sorry. Your marriage has already ended and all that is left is the paperwork and court decree. What your soon-to-be ex expects you to accept is an intrusion into your marriage so far and deep, there is no rationalizing it whatsoever. It is pretty transparent and quite obvious to everyone that he has chosen this woman over his family. There's no getting around it. Start getting all your finances arranged so he cannot spend money that should be family money on this woman. Get all your ducks in a tidy row and contract with a good divorce lawyer. Take every cent and asset you can wring out of him while he continues to try and gaslight you about the situation. OP replies saying, what is funny is that my house is entirely my property, not a joint asset, and he had the audacity to suggest he will move his ex in. A handful of our finances are entangled like health insurance investments that I will disentangle. Meanwhile, I will give my marriage a last chance. One more comment that says, he is willing to die on this hill. How many conversations will it take for you to hear him tell you being there for her is more important than your and your children's comfort? That your opinion only matters if it aligns with what he wants, that he doesn't respect you, that he will fight harder to be there for her than respect your marriage. Why are you even compromising funneling any funds to help her at all is beyond me. When you make exceptions, when you give a little, it leaves room to move the goalposts, to push the line. It can be subtle at first, but eventually he will get what he wants because he knows he can wear you down. This shouldn't even be an argument. He's trying to make it sound as if it's some moral and noble thing. It's just selfishness built on a foundation of ill intent. You're not a bad person, but he is a bad husband. So OP comes in with one more update, which was titled, Update, His Ex Died. It has been around 8 months since my last update, and I honestly never expected to post here again. A few days ago I learned through mutual friends that his ex passed away. I've not spoken to him like a long conversation or something like that since I filed a divorce, so I don't know how he is doing. I don't intend to find out either. We had legal conflicts over shared financials, but it was more or less handled through solicitors, so our personal interaction is almost nil. Earlier, he used to check on the kids, but we did not used to talk. He has stopped checking on the kids for quite a while. Life has settled into a new routine. My focus is on raising my sons and moving forward. They're growing up quickly, and they deserve stability more than anything else. I had suicidal thoughts, self-esteem issues in the beginning, but I guess I'm doing mentally better now. I just thought I should update you guys. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and kindness when I needed it. And overall, it's just a pretty sad ending all around, isn't it? Because regardless of how anyone feels about the ex or the marriage, it's tragic that someone has lost their life. But I also don't think what has happened changes why the marriage really ended, because I don't think the issue was ever about that his ex was sick. It was that the husband repeatedly kept dismissing his own wife's concerns about it, and they were completely reasonable concerns, and made her the bad guy for having her own boundaries around this, when you'd hope most people would, right? And she was offering compromises all over the place, like paying for care and stuff like that. And it's also incredibly brutal that he stopped checking on his own children at the same time. I really hope that OP doesn't second guess leaving because of this, because again, you can feel compassion for what's happened while still realizing that divorcing him was the right decision. And I think the fact alone that she's in a better place mentally now, after mentioning what she's been going through mental health wise, is probably the biggest positive in this update. And I hope she and her kids, her boys, continue moving forward, onwards and upwards, I hope. But one of the commenters from the top says, please don't take him back when he comes crawling back to you. He should rot for what he did. And one more commenter who says, this internet stranger is proud of you, OP. You're a strong woman and a wonderful mama. Please continue to protect your peace. Is your divorce final and do you have custody and child support in place? If not, reach out to your solicitor and notify them that he has not had any involvement with the kids for a long time and you need to get full custody and supervised visitation in place to begin because you don't know how mentally stable he is now that the ex has died. Please protect your peace. He's going to realize what he lost, and through his grief, he may turn that back on you. Prepare for that because you don't know what's coming next. Anyone who can actually walk away from their kids like this has serious mental health issues. You put an ex's needs and care over you and your kids. That is incredibly painful, and your kids need to be protected from him coming and going in their lives at his whim. Stay strong, OP. You and your kids deserve better and owe him nothing. Do not let your ex bring his grief into your lives. I think that comment is spot on, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Kippers5, who says, me 22 female with my boyfriend 28 male of 7 months. He's been blocking a lot of my male friends on my Facebook without my knowledge. Made a throwaway as my boyfriend knows my account. This came to my attention because I was meeting with a group of my friends when one of them asked me if I had deleted my Facebook. I haven't and asked why he thought this, and he said it was because I had disappeared from his Facebook. He said I must have blocked him then, which I was sure I hadn't, but I got my phone out and checked where I discovered he had been blocked, along with a whole bunch of my friends and acquaintances, all male, who I know I hadn't blocked. I was 99% sure it was my boyfriend who had done it. I let him use my computer, so it would have been real easy for him to do it. Also, when we first started dating seriously, he got a little jealous about a guy I messaged sometimes, totally platonic, and asked me to delete him. With this guy, I did understand why my boyfriend didn't like it because I did have a bit of a history with him. At least in this case, my boyfriend talked to me about it first and why it made him uncomfortable, so I was fine with it. However, I find him blocking my friends on Facebook for no reason without telling me weird and a little controlling. I confronted him and he admitted it straight away like it was no big deal. I told him it makes me feel like he doesn't trust me and that is kind of hurtful. He said it wasn't that he doesn't trust me, but he doesn't trust my friends. What does he think is going to happen? In the unlikely scenario that one of them did message me sexually or whatever, does he not think I can handle myself? Again, it just feels like he doesn't trust me. He told me it's not a big deal and it's normal for guys to be protective of their girlfriends, but I don't feel like that at all. He genuinely doesn't seem to understand why it upset me. I could be overreacting a little, but I hate that he did this behind my back. I thought we had a really good relationship and he has no reason not to trust me. I kind of wanted to rant about this and get some reassurance that it isn't normal, or maybe it is. I don't know, but I haven't had a boyfriend who done anything like this before. The first commenter says to OP, massive red flag jealousy issues, quoting, he said it wasn't that he doesn't trust me, but he doesn't trust my friends, and then says the same excuse every time. He doesn't trust you, because if he did, he'd know you'd actually have some say in someone attempting to make a move. Insecure guys like him seem to think that you're naive or have no say in it. It's insulting, and it's the deflective way of saying, I don't trust you. He doesn't trust you. Why are you with someone who doesn't? Quoting again, he told me it's not a big deal and it's normal for guys to be protective of their girlfriends, but I don't feel like that at all, and then says he's delusional to boot. Change your passwords on social media, explain first the massive privacy issue, and that is why he no longer gets access, because he cannot be trusted. Then he gets his ass to therapy straight away because this is not how a healthy relationship works. If he refuses to go because he doesn't understand why his behavior is wrong, and the controlling and jealous behaviors will get worse if he doesn't seek help. OP responded to this and says thanks. I needed to hear something like this. We'll talk to him again, but I can pretty much guarantee he would laugh at even the idea that he needs therapy. Maybe it is over. It just seems to have come out of nowhere. Told you so says, This isn't probably what you want to hear, but when a 28-year-old man starts dating a 22-year-old woman and takes the initiative to block her friends on Facebook, at that point it's not a coincidence that there's an age gap. He's dating you because of the age gap, not in spite of it. He thinks that because you're so much younger, that he can control and manipulate you. If he tried that shit with a woman his own age, she'd dump him immediately. He thinks he can get away with it because you're so young and inexperienced. Show him he's wrong about that by getting away from him yesterday. Opie says, I've had people comment on the age gap before and I never thought it was an issue. I don't think it's that big, but maybe it is a factor. He obviously has had more relationship experience than me, so maybe he thought he could get away with it. So it was about a week later that Opie came in with her update and says, wow, okay, so this has been a tough week. I'm starting to think positive about what has happened and realize it's probably a good thing to be out of the relationship. The replies to my post were pretty much unanimously telling me it was a sign of him trying to control me, and this got me thinking about so many other things in our relationship. I could have been overanalyzing things, but there were so many other aspects I think I overlooked because I just thought he loved me, but really were him trying to be controlling. That night I felt so weird and stupid that I hadn't noticed things earlier, but I really couldn't face talking to him right then. I wanted more time to think about everything. I was supposed to be going to his place that night, so I texted him telling him I couldn't go. This pissed him off and he kept trying to call me, but I really didn't want to talk to him, so I just told him I'd call him tomorrow. He didn't stop though, and he was texting me telling me to answer my phone, so I eventually gave in and did. He asked me what was wrong, and I told him the Facebook thing had upset me, and I didn't like him trying to control me. He then said I was only getting upset because I had a guilty conscience. This made me so mad that I told him if he really thinks I've cheated on him, then fine, it's over. I hung up. I was so fuming, mad and hurt that I had the determination to ignore all his calls and messages for the rest of the night. However, the next day when we both had calmed down, I agreed to meet him. He was doing that thing when he acted like everything was okay and tried to hug and kiss me when I saw him, but I pushed him away. So we talked, but never once did he apologize or back down and admit what he did was not okay. He was standing by a stance of he doesn't trust them, was trying to twist it into a compliment that these guys can't help themselves. I met up with him with a little hope that he would apologize and we could maybe try and work it out, but his reaction made me realize that we couldn't. I told him he was full of shit and that he was trying to control me and I don't want to be with him anymore. He got mad, called me all kinds of names, but in some ways that made it easier for me and reassured me that I was doing the right thing. We had no contact for a couple of days, but then he started calling me and leaving messages, telling me he was sorry and he loved me. I probably shouldn't have, but I agreed to see him again, and he told me he only did it because he didn't want to lose me, etc. I just got the feeling he was trying to tell me what he thought I wanted to hear. I just knew that it was over and told him. He got mad again, and his parting words were something like, fine, go and be a fucking slur then. Which was upsetting to hear from the man I thought loved me, but if that is his opinion of me, then he is not the guy for me. I have not heard anything from him for a few days now, so hopefully I can try and get over it soon. TLDR, broke up. Bloody hell, she really did dodge a bullet there, and in some ways I'm glad that he kept revealing who he was instead of really apologizing because, you know, she admits that she was hoping that they could work it out, and she gave him a couple of chances there to explain himself and he just doubled down. And I know it sounds really shitty to say, I'm sort of glad he did double down and reveal who he really was, because I kind of feel like she may have just slipped back into that relationship and be questioning herself further down the line again. And calling her that effing slur in the end when he couldn't control the outcome. That was the real person she was dating right there. I think she admits herself there was probably a larger pattern of controlling behavior behind that first issue of him blocking people on Facebook. That was just the first crack that she actually noticed. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for saying my boyfriend's mum's mashed potatoes are weird? Random title, right? So this is stupid, but it's a whole thing. I've been with my boyfriend for like 5 years and his family does Sunday dinner a lot. I go most of the time, it's whatever. Last weekend, we're there. His mum made mashed potatoes. I grab some, normal. I take a bite and immediately I'm like, why are these sweet? Not like a little sweet, like actually sweet. So I just go, wait, these are sweet. Kinda laughing because I thought maybe I was losing it. And she goes, yeah, that's how I make them. And I just said, oh, I've never had sweet mashed potato before. Like, not trying to be rude, I was just confused. and it got awkward for no reason, like dead quiet. I tried to just eat them anyway, but I genuinely couldn't. It tasted like dessert with gravy and my brain was not having it. So I just stopped eating them and kept eating the rest. Then she notices and goes, "You don't like them?" I said, "They're just a bit sweet for me." And then my boyfriend jumps in like, "They're not even sweet," which they literally are. And his mum makes a comment like, "Some people just aren't used to real cooking," which kind of annoyed me. So I just said I just didn't expect mashed potatoes to taste like cake. And yeah, that did not go over well. Dinner got super awkward. We left, and in the car my boyfriend says I embarrassed him and I should apologize, but like, I wasn't even rude at first. I only said that after she made that comment. Now she's upset and he's acting like I started something. I don't know, this feels so dumb, but am I actually in the wrong? The first commenter says to OP, "Not the arsehole. That sounds like a crime against mashed potatoes." Commenter says, "Like everyone sucks here. It would have been no arseholes, but you both had to make shitty little comments at the end. And sure, she said it first, so she's the slightly bigger arsehole, but you did not need to stoop to her level. The fact that your boyfriend immediately took her side to the point of denying reality, yeah, that's a different and bigger problem for you to deal with." Opie says, "Yeah, we've never really had an issue like this before, so why is potatoes of all things the hill he chooses to die on?" A commenter says, "Please tell me his mum is also the type to put mayo, raisins, jelly beans, and / or gummy bears into a layer salad." Someone mentioning raisins. Wasn't there a story a while back about raisins being in mashed potatoes or something? I swear we read something like that a couple of years back. Another commenter says, "My mother-in-law puts sugar in mashed potatoes too. It makes me want to cry, but I don't start a fight about it though. I've told my husband that I hate it though, because he once wanted to use his mother's mashed potato recipe to make dinner. I can't imagine why anyone wants to eat that monstrosity. That recipe is banned from my home." Another one says, "They're actually sweet potatoes. They can be mashed and sugar, butter and brown sugar added, or they can be made as sweet potatoes and sweet potato casseroles." Opie responded saying, "These were not sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. These were normal russet potatoes, sweetened, and then doused in beef gravy." Another commenter says, "Not the arsehole. If she's going to throw an insult, then she should be able to take one back. Mashed potatoes aren't supposed to be sweet unless they are sweet potatoes, and you don't eat sweet potatoes with gravy either. You're a guest and you're being as polite as you could. Not just guest, but at this point, family too." She could have literally said anything else like, "Understand, would you like something else instead?" No one insults their guest when their guest is being polite about it too. She just took it personally and got prideful over being wrong. Anyway, wish I could tell her to her face mashed potatoes aren't supposed to be sweet. She can't make mashed potatoes and she doesn't seem to accept she can't make mashed potatoes. No one in their right mind adds sugar to savory potatoes, especially to be eaten with gravy. God, I'm so unnecessarily mad about this logic. Lol. OP edited the post and says, "Just answering some questions I've already gotten a couple of times. I'm 23. These were normal russet potatoes that tasted like there was a lot of brown sugar added into them. I've somehow avoided eating those monstrous potatoes for 5 years because normally we either have roasted potatoes or we do a potluck style and boyfriend sister-in-law bring in the mashed potatoes. I'm not from the US. We're all from Canada, born and raised." I was always tempted by an "everyone sucks" here, but in the end, because of the tasted like cake comment, but in the end, I'm just like, not the arsehole. This only happened after the mum threw the first dig, right? Because if someone politely says to you, "These are a bit sweet for me" or whatever, I think the normal response is, "Don't worry about it. Not everyone likes them. This is just the way we do them, maybe a bit differently or whatever." But instead, the mum turned around and implied that she wasn't used to real cooking. And then the boyfriend was somehow choosing to deny reality by saying they weren't sweet. I don't know if sugar in mashed potato is something somewhere out there, but for me that sounds absolutely cursed. But I think the bigger issue for OP is that he immediately sided with his mum instead of acknowledging that people have different tastes. You know, if brown sugar in mashed potatoes with beef gravy is your thing, fair enough. But don't act shocked when someone is surprised by it. So OP does come in with an update on this. So yeah, not the update I thought I'd be posting. I talked to my boyfriend again about everything because it was still bothering me. Mostly how he handled it at dinner. It kinda turned into a bigger conversation than I expected. Basically, I realized this isn't the first time he's just sided with his family to avoid conflict and left me to deal with it. I think I've just ignored it before, but this time it actually got to me. We ended up arguing about it and it brought up a bunch of other stuff that we probably should have talked about a while ago. Long story short, we broke up. It wasn't literally over mashed potatoes, but that situation definitely made me look at things differently. I know that probably sounds dramatic to some people, but after 5 years, I didn't really want to keep brushing stuff off anymore. And I think we could foresee that there would be some sort of pattern in the background, especially with the way he jumped to his mum's defense over these potatoes, right? And I think the potatoes themselves were just the moment Opie stopped ignoring this pattern. She realized that whenever there was conflict with his family, he'd rather throw her under the bus than risk upsetting them. And it's probably a good thing that it happened over mashed potatoes for OP, because things like that we've seen in these stories, of course, people can change, people can work on themselves and get better, but and we obviously read like the worst of the worst, but there's times where it doesn't get better, and you bring things like marriage into the picture and they only get worse and they escalate. But there was clearly a lot more to the background than this than Opie actually mentioned within this post. But what about you guys? Sugar in your mashed potatoes? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to see you, I am, in the next one. Take care and much love.